In Africa, we are born and bred into the belief that that farmer that leaves his home and then goes to the farm and licks the morning dew with his legs every morning is going to be among those to benefit from the heavy, bountiful harvest at the end of the year. And of course, that one goes to say that that person that catches it young when he was young and then goes through it all the while will ultimately enjoy or be among those who enjoy the comfort of the experienced people wherever they may be. This is not by the way. My name is Yusuf Nadabo Usman, and the program is Reflections. On this program every week, we invite personalities into our studio where talk about themselves and how what they went through was able to impact on your lives out there. Today and this week, we shall try to see how this very beginning we talked about will sink into a personality that really saw it all from the cradle and moved it through to a very old age. I wouldn't want to say it's a grand age yet, but it's still moving. Hope is going to be there as much as possible and as soon as possible. My personality this week is a lawyer. He's an engineer. He is a businessman. He is a farmer of repute, if you like. And of course, above all, he's a politician and of course a consummate politician that who has seen it all for decades. My personality is the 75-year-old alleged Dr. Abdullahi Adamu.
Alhaji Abdullahi Adamu was born on July 6, 1945 at Kefi. He started his education at Abduzanga Primary School, Kefi, and completed at the Laminga Senior Primary School in 1959, after which he went to Government Secondary School, Makurdi in 1960 to 1962, and later Government Technical College, Bukuru from 1963 to 1965. Alhaji Abdullahi Adamu proceeded to Kaduna Polytechnic, where he obtained a National Diploma in Building and Civil Engineering in 1968. He had a short employment with the National Electric Power Authority as a maintenance supervisor after obtaining his higher national diploma at Kaduna Polytechnic in 1970. Abdullahi Adamu took over appointment with the Northern Nigerian Development Corporation NNDC Kaduna, and later in 1975 appointed the Executive Secretary of the Benue Plateau Construction Company, Jos. He was Chairman, Board of Directors, Benue Cement Company, BOCO, and was also a member of the Board of Directors of the Nigerian Television Authority. His stint with politics began in 1977 when he was elected into the Constituent Assembly, a body that drafted the country's Second Republic Constitution of 1979. Thereafter, he became a pioneer member of the national movement, which later metamorphosed into the National Party of Nigeria, the NPN. He became the secretary and later chairman of the NPN in Plateau State and also a member of the National Executive Committee of the party. In 1980, Abdullahi Adamu was honored with the prestigious title of Sarkin Yaki Kefi by the Emir of Kefi. At the demise of the Second Republic in 1983, he went back into the academics and enrolled in the pioneer class of the part-time law degree of the University of Jos and graduated in 1992. He was enrolled into the Nigerian Law School, Lagos, and called to the bar in 1993 as a solicitor and advocate of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. He was appointed a member of the National Constitutional Conference convened by the General Sani Abacha administration for the drafting of a constitution for a new democratic government. In March 1995, he was appointed Minister of State in the Ministry of Works and Housing of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. At the lifting of ban on politics, he became a member of the United Nigeria Congress Party UNCP and was one of its leading gubernatorial contenders in Nasarawa State. His ambition was, however, not realized as the party, alongside others, was dissolved at the death of General Sani Abacha. At the onset of the current political dispensation, he became a founding member of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, and contested for the position of the executive governor of Nasarawa State on its platform, won the elections, and subsequently sworn in on May 29, 1999. Abdullahi Adamu is a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. A well-rounded man, Alhaji Abdullahi Adamu, a lawyer, engineer, technocrat, and a politician, is married and has 5 children. He lives in Kefi and Abuja.
Sai, welcome to this program.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
With you. Thank you.
I found myself at a point in time in trying to look at you from the various, sources of information. I was trying to look at you from all sides and all angles. At a point, I found myself, slipping off, not getting to where I really want to get to. Whichever page I open is more or less a different thing. Whichever page I open is a different experience, and there are so many of such pages. Let's look at you from the political front for a start. Let's look at that in the sense of trying to see how you are made up and how you are built up. You started running into politics and then having to play politics as far back as 1967, 68, if I'm right. I was talking about the student unionism you were part of. And the person that went out there to go and study happened to be the person who really joined politics and became the head of the students' government then in the 60s. Did you inherit anything political?
It depends on the way one looks at it. Partisanship, no.
Right.
But in the family, the issue of communal leadership has been our lot. From my great-grandfather right down to my father and to my humble self. We are born into, if you permit, if in my modesty, the royalty. And but then royalty then is a bit different from what you see today. My great-grandfather is a local chief. So was my great-grandfather. And my father, after his career in the public service, in the civil service, when he retired, came back home, he became a district head until his death in 1980. For me, it's probably in my blood. But like I said, the closest I would talk of partisanship was during the NPC, Northern People's Congress, in the First Republic. My father was a headmaster. He was also a town councillor.
Oh, right. I can see now. I can see the connection now.
And by the time I went to the Kaduna Polytechnic, which you rightly referenced, I can say with some level of ease of memory that right from the primary school, I found myself belonging to things like Farmers Club, the Young Farmers Club, debating society, the dancing club, and the drama club of the primary school in Laminga, senior primary school level, then middle school. And then when I found myself in Makadi, Gaman College Makadi, then craft school, I'm not doing secondary science and technical education, I found myself among students that were agitators, if you permit. The problems that we had in the school, we had people we call people of like minds, students of like minds, we call ourselves. And we sit at night, take a look at the problems that we were having as students.
At that young age.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Then we take decisions as to what to do. And I will never forget one such incident where we embarked on a strike because our food was not good.
In the secondary school?
Yes, and it was not enough. In this was in 1961, on secondary 2. About that time I went to technical college, Bukuru, Jos. Somehow, at that level of education institution, you don't do student union. But somehow there was something bubbling in us in terms of our problems. And what was happening in Makadi, started resonating, in Government Technical College, Bukuru. And then we're more mature. We could write letters to the Ministry of Education in the northern Nigeria, Kaduna. And the letters get there and prompt actions were taken. Again, we're involved in a strike.
Having to have that political thing in your blood from generations, and then you seeing it being played out, from primary school, secondary school, middle school, polytechnic, and the rest of them. One would not be, feel really out of place to think that politics was in you also.
Well, like I said, partisanship, no, but definitely there was some thing about my life, about my blood, that maybe gave me that inclination for political activities or getting involved what affects me. All along, if I know something is going to affect me, I want to be part of it. I want to be part of the decision process to get whatever is around me to happen. Because if you shy away from it, you end up getting things done, decisions taken that will affect your life, in which you have little no input whatsoever. And somehow, early in one's age, I got this feeling, and I never hesitated. Once an opportunity for me to take part in what affects me, I did take part.
And that feeling really of agitation, in quotes, agitation from within you, anything that affects you, you don't let go, you pursue it. Anything that seems to not to be right, you seem to say it's wrong, you try to correct it. Anything that seems to be, very unpopular, you seem not to be part of it. And that is why the partisanship comes into it. And so much, politics is all about that. It's all about trying to bring about change.
I agree with you. Yeah, well, I said partisanship apart, because partisanship in contemporary political thinking and behavior has to do with you identifying with a political party. Then you have been partisan. But in the normal way of things happening around your life, there's no politics. But one thing which I also remember, if we're home during holidays and the political rallies were taking place, you'd be surprised. I took pleasure in taking the desks, my head, or chairs on my head, from wherever to where the rallies was taking place. And we'll take it and for a pittance. They give us maybe a couple, maybe if our parents were involved with the rally, we just take it to get their blessing. And then that was just such a pleasure doing it and standing in there, and when they shout, we shout. For us at that stage, for me, there wasn't the partisanship, but just that spirit that was driving one to partake in what affects him or her.
Now, that is, to me, I think it's a build-up.
Yeah.
It's a build-up to your partisan political life.
Maybe.
Yes, because I can see the building blocks being put in place from 1961 to all through to around 1967, 68, when you sort of formed the government, if I may use that word, in Kaduna Polytechnic.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed anything that will make me lead the students into something that the authorities will know is happening, that's good or bad. We were in the forefront for demonstrations, during the Nigerian Civil War, when the British, who were supposed to be our colonial masters, would not sell arms to the government of Nigeria during the Nigerian Civil War. We were out, out there in the streets in Kaduna and in Zaria, collaboration with the Polytechnic and the universities, protesting and showing anger as to why, the British that have known with us for years, decades, would not stand by the government at this trying moment. And I enjoy those kind of moments. And true, they must have helped to shape my political thinking and behavior generally.
As students, The war was raging on then. And then the British government took that decision, and you felt it was a wrong decision, not at least for Nigerian government. They should have been on our own side because they were our colonial masters. How far did you go with that? Did it really yield anything positive?
Well, see, when you agitate the rest of the union, you want to make an impact. You want the people or the authorities that have bearing with what you are demonstrating against to take notice of it. And when they do, your hope is that they will do the thing you want them to do, or will stop doing what you don't want them to be doing to you. That's the whole essence.
Okay, now, in case you are just joining us, the program is Reflections. We will now take a break. We'll be back in a moment with more on this program. I'm discussing with Dr. Abdullahi Adamu, two-time governor of Nasarawa State, of course, a serving senator, and an all-rounded person. Why not stay back for more? Politics has been played by you right from the early 70s on a partisan basis. I could remember you were part of the Constituent Assembly in Benue Plateau, the representative as such. You were part of the NPN, you were part of the UNCP, you're part of so many parties, and of course part of the PDP and of course the APC now. So politics has been part of you, right? Now, what can you tell us about these political engagements? Where is the missing link between now and then?
In my view, the missing link is simply this. Most people who go into politics today are not driven by the same purpose that we were privileged to be driven on, to do our apprenticeship, so to say.
What was your purpose then?
Service. You saw yourself as only an agent to provide service. In this case, the service interpreted along the lines of leadership and what have you. And, but as we moved on, our class, if you permit, of entrance into politics began to age or began to disappear completely. And the succession regimes or age groups, so to say, were not seeing politics the way we saw it. You have a situation where somebody just comes saying, bah, he wants to contest for governor of a state. He had never been in politics. It became something like just a transient calling for status. Everybody's not in a hurry. It's a rat race, unfortunately. Somebody comes, Pam, he's never been in politics, he wants to go to the Senate. He doesn't even know Nigeria. He doesn't know Nigeria beyond maybe what he can see to 36 states, if he can mention 36 states. He doesn't know the issues that drive politics in Nigeria. He doesn't know the issues that threaten the unity of Nigeria. He doesn't know, or she doesn't know. Well, that, I'm not condemning anybody, but that is part of the problem that we're having. The attitude, whatever you do, when I was the Constitutional Assembly, I was elected. Shagari was elected. But if Shagari was speaking, I know somebody was speaking. Not because I was inferior, but because I was brought up to respect.
And you know he's elderly, he's more experienced than you.
He was a parliamentarian when I was in primary school. I found myself now with this same person. Adamu Chiroma was there. Keomba Due was there. J.S. Taka.
Then Omar Diko.
Omar Diko. But these guys, yeah, Abubakar. You know, you find, no matter what you think of yourself, if you are brought up properly in life, you know there's something you can learn from the elder.
Although you're on the same table with them.
Yeah, on the same table. You're all elected. Everybody's equal, so to say. But some people are more equal than others. Yeah, if we go to animals farm. All right. So some of us got that kind of training, if you permit, orientation. All right, that prepared us for taking these responsibilities as we moved along. Unfortunately, some of the activists today in the political space did not do this.
Do you see the monetization of positions and politics as a contributory factor to this?
Well, there's no time that politics was not money. There's no money in politics. That's always been there, but in different ways.
I mean, the luxury coming along with leadership now.
Well, it's part of the corruption that has evaded, unfortunately, the society, and it's manifesting in every aspect of our life. Okay, you have to have the money to be corrupt. You have to see it and be induced into wanting to have it before you get to be corrupt. But where you are motivated by service, money was secondary. I remember one member of parliament in northern Nigeria was made a parliament secretary because his election was the first one to be announced. His result was the first one, and he won. So he was honored. He was parliament secretary. But today a lot of what you do in politics is driven by money, unfortunately. And if you say you want to exempt yourself, you are out.
Okay, now, people like you, as you said earlier on, you are aging out.
Yes.
You are giving way to the young politicians and those that are coming up. And indeed, those coming up didn't really have that mindset. Can anything be done about it?
Well, you see, I think something can be done.
All right, what is that?
We may not have an immediate result or impact, but within a given timeline, we will be able to recover our lost glory in public service. There's so much talk about corruption, and it would appear, I may be wrong, it would appear that corruption is interpreted from the point of view of materialism, the money aspect. But corruption goes beyond it. If a child is devoid of some social value systems in his upbringing, you are laying ground for him to be corrupt because he doesn't know good from bad from the point of view of society in which he belongs. A child that grows up without knowing the relationship between his father, between him and his father himself and his uncle, or his nephew, he doesn't know between the friends of his father, between the traditional institution in his village, how he relates with them. He doesn't know this. How he can be of help, assistance to a fellow citizen, maybe in their need. He doesn't know the essence of that. He doesn't see himself as, let me show my society what I am so that they can judge me. He doesn't know that he just wants to come, be something. It doesn't add up. So you need some training. Okay? There was something that was started during President Shagari, Ministry for National Guidance. We need it. We need to guide our citizenry.
Is it different from the National Orientation Agency?
Why is it different? That one just became a talking drum. It's like a talking drum, But all the same, it was on the line. Yeah. If you're a manager, manage well, that kind of stuff. But the thing is, this thing should find roots right from our primary schools and develop a culture, develop a system that prepares the citizen of who he is in society, how he relates with society, what society expects of him, and what he expects of society towards him or her. This is not taking place.
And this is going to be a very long-term solution.
When I was in primary school to secondary school, we had something called civics. Yeah. When I was going to primary school, I started by some little geography, the story, the history of Kefi who founded it, who did this, who did that, what was like the estimated population of Kefi, who are the main tribes that are inhabiting Kefi, who are our neighbors in Kefi, what was the religion in Kefi, what was the occupation of Kefi people. They taught you this from primary school. Before we went on to start talking about Liverpool, what happened to our farm produce from here that takes Nigeria to the UK or Europe, or whatever, what are the ports there and the rest of it. I could draw the map of Africa, I could draw the map of Nigeria between primary 3 to primary 7. I could do that. Yeah. And by the time you were in secondary school, you could draw the continents. Africa. Oh, you understand? Yeah. That's not on now. And they say that's better education. A person doesn't know the history of where he was born. He doesn't know the history of his ethnic group. He doesn't know.
One of your legacies as a governor then was education, your educational strides.
Yeah.
2 programs. One, most importantly, the school feeding program.
Yes.
And of course, your, doggedness and commitment to ensure that, the younger ones really get the education they require. And that is looking at the kind of money you voted for education. Well, I think you're about the only person that did that. About over 20% of your allocation goes to education. By the UNESCO, around 28% or thereabout. Yes. I can see why you're just talking to me like that, because you had an experience in trying to put these things into practice. And now you are in the Senate, and there you are where you make laws, all right? Now, being a governor, having implemented that, and then being in the Senate trying to make laws for the betterment of this country, these are very beautiful avenues that will turn things around. Do you see this effort playing out well?
Well, look, see, the thing is, every regime situation gives birth to its own peculiar circumstances of needs. We sit 3 days a week in session. Within those 3 days, between the period 2011 or so, if not 2007 to date, there is a problem of security here and there. It's becoming more and more and more pronounced with time. Now, there is a problem of infrastructure development. It's also opening up more and more in degree of needs. There's the problem of health, and of course, problem of education. Then you want to set up priorities when you're doing budget. Unfortunately, when you come to do the budget, there's an office called Budget Office. They do the budget proposals for Mr. President. The Federal Executive Council takes it, and once they agree, they send it to us. Okay? Now, you cannot sit and have a very passionate discussion that is devoid of prejudices, unfortunately. Unfortunately. All right? And whether you want it or not, you are driven. You are driven towards whether you're talking budget, or you're talking of health, you're talking of security, like I mentioned. At the bottom line, you see you can read prejudice. You can read prejudice. And we are lucky now. We are very lucky that we have somebody like the Senate President now, Lawal, Ahmed Ibrahim Lawal, PhD, as the Senate President. We are beginning to see a lowering down of the tension of prejudices, based on prejudices, going down. And to that extent, one would hope that with this turn in the fortune now for the better of the National Assembly, which is made of elder statesmen. They will be better placed now. The environment will be more conducive to make laws for the good governance of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. There are so many things. There are so many things to do. But people are preoccupied, oh, I want a bridge in my constituency. Oh, I want this kind of road. Oh, I want that kind of dam. Oh, I want that kind of... Oh, Buhari is not doing that. People don't seem to understand what leadership or rulership is all about. If they do, we will not be doing what we're doing today. We will be appreciating. We may find fault, no doubt.
It's a human being.
Yes, we may find some faults. It can be done this particular way, will be better for all of us. And so there's nothing wrong in that. But when thoughts are loaded with prejudice, hatred, then you can't drive the ship of state properly.
You were a member of the Constituent Assembly in 1977.
Yes.
And in 1990, was it during the Abacha regime, you were part of the Constitution Review Committee, 1994. Now, these two exercises were meant to, bring or create or remake Nigeria, if I may use the word. Remake Nigeria, make it a better place for all of us, using the constitutional democracy in order to move on. 1977 towards 1979, the birth of the Second Republic. And then 1994 towards 1999, the birth of the Fourth Republic. Now, the agitation here is the restructuring of this country. I don't know what that means anyway, but that's why it always comes in. The redoing, the restructuring, the remaking, the reorganization, and so many of them. I don't know. What do you make out of this?
Honestly, up to this point in time, there has been no articulation that you can use as a reference point to define restructuring as it's being propagated. Anybody who wakes up has some feelings or some thoughts about any particular way Nigeria is being run on any particular issue, just jumps up and say, well, restructuring. All right? Those of them who are a bit more organized, among those who are agitating for restructuring, may have pointed to something about like the legislative list, of the country. We take a look at it and redefine the roles that are given to the various tiers of government. All right, because maybe the federal government is exercising so much, authority over certain things, and they want it to be watered down in some particular areas. Okay, that's something to talk about. But other than that, you don't hear anything. Oh, we should go back to the parliamentary system. And what is the parliamentary system here? I have not seen them define it as a situation that is so different from the presidential system that we're having. There's no definition of parliamentary system. What I understand parliamentary system is to have a given number of constituencies in the whole federation, and each of them produces a member, and whichever party has the majority followership or membership of the parliament, this leader takes the slot of prime minister and is the head of government. All right? That for me is parliamentary system of government. And then you can, of course, take a look at the constitutional legislative list. All right? And you see what is given to the federal government and what is given on the concurrent list of states, and the federal government. And what is residual. Okay? You can redefine them. If that's what restructuring, let them come and say which particular areas you want restructuring over. But just to shout as a slogan, restructuring, it doesn't make any sense to me. You see, it is a matter of what commitment do we have to have a better Nigeria. The problem we have been having, my brother, is that in this country, we are good in chanting reform, restructure, constitutional review. But no sooner than you do it, before it's Robinson, that's an obstacle They want to go back all over again and start all over again. That's Nigeria for you. We have no way of seeing a problem and committing ourselves to solving the problem. No, whether the problem we want to go back, reverse again, and do another thing again. Take between independence and now, how many times have we written constitution? Between 1960 and today, how many times have we written constitution? And we're still complaining.
You still want to do it again.
Of course, governance is a dynamic thing. I appreciate that. But do we go with this frequency?
And even when you
And we
look
can't ask ourselves, what have we achieved with all these changes? Something is wrong. It's our attitude, our commitment to the success of this Nigerian project. That's the attitude. There are those who don't just believe that should be Nigeria as we see it today. And they're there on the streets. All right? Now, there's no amount of restructuring you do to make them feel that they belong to this country called Nigeria. And they don't even look at the implication. All right? So take a look at what is in northern Nigeria, what is northern Nigeria and the northern states today. I bet you all the noise about Nigeria, about Biafra, what that we are hearing, I say this in my honor. There are more Igbos living in northern Nigeria than there are in the east. There are more Igbos with investment in northern Nigeria than they have in the east. There are more Yorubas living in northern Nigeria than northern Nigerians living in the Yoruba land. So this huge cries that why is it going to take us to?
But what, in your opinion, is causing?
Tomorrow, Nigeria breaks. Just imagine that. God forbid, but imagine that. I know the Igbos are having business in these places. Have to have visa now to come to northern Nigeria. Whatever you call northern Nigeria, then theirs is Biafra. Okay, we've had that. They will have visas to come here. There is hardly any village in that there's any economic activity that there's no Igbo there. Right? What happens to them? What happens to their investment? Do they think about this? Do they think of how this, if there's a separation, the kind of spirit that should drive that separation?
But does restructuring really mean separation? I don't think that is what it means.
What I'm telling you is that it may not mean so. But if you go there on their lane,
At that level.
and then that's what it means. Right. That nothing will satisfy them.
Now, on a final note on this issue, you mentioned attitude. The attitude of Nigerians, which is the whole bulk of the problem. We don't seem to look at the Nigerian project as our project, I would say. It's unfortunate. And then we don't seem to think that being who we are in this country, we don't have any other country but this. Where are we headed?
Well, we have no option than to start talking to ourselves in a more friendly, in a more brotherly or sisterly manner. We have to begin to have this country at the center of our thinking. How do we make it better? You can't sit and look, wish for a country that you have everything that you want happening to you or for you. There's no such country. There's no such country. Go to the United Kingdom. We were their colony in London, England. We were their colony for how long? Go there and see what they have. Till tomorrow, Northern Ireland is a problem. Till tomorrow, Scotland is still there. It's a problem. If you go to America, to all this, look at what's happening today. This election is throwing up a lot of issues, political issues. Go to France. All this talk of stability, how stable are they? But they are tolerant of moving on and hoping these changes will take place, and they work towards them. But we want to just turn the page and see it happen. That's the difference.
You're watching Reflections. We're reaching you from the Nigerian Television Authority. We'll now take a break. We'll be back in a moment as we continue to talk with Senator Dr. Abdullahi Adamu, two-time governor of Nasarawa State. Stay with us. Whenever you come to this house, you hardly can make this house empty, whether he's in town or not.
That's right.
Trooping day in, day out.
That's right.
His life, all true as far as we know, as far as this media, we do that's the way he is.
That's right.
What do you attribute this to?
Well, to be honest with you, even though he's my father, I don't want to flatter him, but I think it's an attribute given to him by God, I would say. You have his colleagues. You go around, even when he was a governor, you find out, you go to him, 1 a.m., you find people still waiting, hanging around to see him. That has been his nature. I grew up partly with my grandparents and then him, but that has been his character. In the morning, he wakes up, he comes to the table, he doesn't eat without people. Likewise, lunch and dinner. So that has always been one of his major strengths, I think, people around him. And this is all because of the way he handles them, perhaps.
He is not only important, but he tried as much as possible to assimilate himself with the people and try to help them in whatever area they want help from him. He does that and he will do it with all his vigor.
When he was a governor, the first thing he did was to see that he established, he rekindled the educational sector.
When in marriage, when there's understanding, the love is always there. When you understand each other, you make sacrifice, you tolerate each other, and then love is there. And that way the marriage can last.
How disciplined has he been?
Very, very. In a good way, though. I feel like with the way the world is now and the way society is, it's very easy to derail. He has been a guiding sort of light for us, and I would say he has, set a good example in his actions and in what he does, and it's been quite easy to follow, really.
Have an idea of how this place, this farm is. 3,000 hectares there. Now let's go around this place.
These are tubers. This is the old. Of course, I will eat all this. In the end, there's no way I can eat all of this.
It all depends on the size of your family anyway. And from home, I've been seeing people trooping in and out.
Yeah, those ones come. Those also, if they come and I give them yam, they will not come back tomorrow. They want the man and they want the naira.
I see, that's great.
Yes, this is his harvesting season. We're harvesting. We're not finished yet.
Okay. Now that brings me to this issue. Years ago, Nigeria started exporting yam, and then exporting yam to other countries. And then I don't know how strong or how viable is this yam business internationally?
Well, permit the modesty. Some years back, you are talking about was during my time as a governor of the state.
Right.
I went to the UK for the Royal Agri Show in the year 2005. And what I saw so baffled me. I was so ashamed to be seen as a Nigerian. I saw what Ghana was doing. I saw what Kenya, Uganda, South Africa, Cameroon were doing at the show. And when I went to the Nigerian pavilion, as I entered the pavilion, the first thing I saw to my right was palm wine. I know you laugh. I'm saying this in my honor.
Yeah.
I wasn't alone. Shetima, Dr. Shetima, who was Minister of Agriculture at one time, is alive. You can confirm this. Admiral Nyako is alive. You can confirm this from him. The only one who is dead is one Yoruba is Chief Koka. He's the one who is dead. But the rest of us, I was mentioning, are still alive. You can confirm this. From one water so. And I saw some yam. It was not as good. It was not better. It was, I don't know, it was hardly better than this.
Yeah.
In the shelf, the Nigerian shelf. All right? It was not as big as this. And when I was shouting at the officer in charge of the Nigerian pavilion, he says, this was Nigeria. Where did you get this kind of thing from? And before what he told me, he said from Nasarawa State. Nasarawa State. And I was the governor of Nasarawa State when I was talking. I was finding if you lie, well, you see, The thing to do is, you see, for me, hope itself is life. Once you lose hope, you lose life. To that extent, I say yes, we must not lose hope, we must keep pushing.
So what do we have here, sir?
This is vegetables. Kai, now one.
Excellency, if I may ask you this, what about this is a large-scale product?
Yes.
Now, what about storage and storage facilities?
We have a big warehouse there from this year's harvest. We have about 250, tons of maize already that we've harvested. We're trying to add value. We are processing our cassava to gari already. And we have got a poultry on another farm, a poultry in Marmara, and then of course livestock for milk and kefi. So we're into processing.
How old are these? This is 3 months and 2 weeks. Yes. Also from a hatchery.
Okay.
Spread it. It's a monthly thing.
That was scrambling for the meal.
And this feed is produced. The feed is produced by us.
You produce this one too?
Yes, on our feed mill.
So how many are here, apart from that one?
We have 10,000 here.
10,000?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And they will remain here for the next 3 months or more?
Yes. The only thing we do sorting by removing the big ones from the small ones.
Okay.
So when we drain the water, we look and check for those ones that are tiny, that did not grow in size here.
Okay.
Because if you leave them, they will cannibalize on those ones.
Okay, they will be eaten up.
Yeah, so we remove them, then we take note of the number we are taking up
Okay.
during the sorting process.
Right.
When we brought them, they are much tinier than this. They are growing fast, yes, and they are monosex, so that they'll be able to grow faster.
What do you mean monosex?
Monosex, that is, they are all male, no female.
No female.
Yes, the male grow faster than the female.
Then where are the female?
When you put the male and the female of tilapia together, they start breeding.
No, I'm just trying to ask whether you have a pond for the female alone.
No, we don't have the female yet.
All right. Okay. And how long are they going to stay here now before you get them out?
They are going to stay here for about 8 to 1 year. 8 months
to 1 year.
Yes.
Okay. By your estimation, by the time they are 8 months and 1 year, how many kilograms would they be?
They will be having 1 kg to 2 kg.
We started selling. We were selling fresh fish. Then we started this smoking. And that has taken a bit of the fresh fish market from us.
When did you start smoking? Because it seems
We started smoking just last year.
last year. And how lucrative is the business?
It's good. It's good. It's very good. It's good. The only thing is you don't make big money out of this. But you satisfy yourself that you're getting something out of your sweat.
Right.
Yes.
Big money. When you say big money, what do you mean?
Oh, millions.
Is it bad?
Yes, looking so bad. Oh, just had a baby.
What species is this? This is not
This is from Niger, Sudan.
Okay.
Yes.
What species?
This is Bokolo.
Bokolo. Don't have this long
No, not white flaggy. That's one there. I don't know why it's here, but that's one with it. I do know that we have something over 100 here.
Okay.
Yes, and they're all female.
Oh.
Only 1 or 2 bulls here. Only 1 or 2 are bulls. The rest are all female.
So they reproduce themselves.
Oh, yes.
Apart from that, what value do you add to them?
They produce, we go to the market, and we eat. We sell when it's meant for meat. They produce little ones and we keep the cycle on.
What about milk processing?
No, we don't do milking here.
Your Excellency, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I'm tired. I must say I am tired. I don't know. We've gone around these places, you've seen it. It's a great thing you're doing. How are you feeling about this thing you're doing?
Well, I think a lot of gratitude to Almighty God for making all this possible. It's one thing to have the interest and desire to do anything. It's quite another sitting or standing up to do it. So we thank God for making it possible for us to go beyond just wanting to actually doing it. And it's a very rewarding thing to do, agricultural production, because you conceive an idea, you practicalize it. Nothing is more gratifying, nothing is more satisfying than that.
Even before this present administration come on board, you've been an active participant as a farmer. And of course, it's people like you that this administration needed in order to drive this very policy and initiative, which of course you've been doing. Read this policy, read this government's policy for us in agriculture.
I can say without any fear of contradiction that President Muhammadu Buhari's administration has been more up and doing with agriculture. We have gone beyond rhetorics. We've gone beyond rhetorics. What Buhari's administration has tried to do is to bring agriculture to the front burner. And the need for diversifying the economy has been very, very, very prominent. It's been very, very it's in the priority, of this administration. So he has tried to drive the government into ensuring that we work towards freeing Nigeria from hunger, from taking steps to produce enough for the people of this country to eat, and where possible to have extra for even export. We are not yet there. Yeah. The gap was so big, and this administration has been trying to fill this gap, and there has been a commitment, that has gone beyond rhetorics from this administration to actual doing. A lot of policies, a lot of legislation, a lot of effort to bring a little more financing to agriculture, so that we can enhance production, we can enhance, there can be no meaningful production if there's no research commensurate to the demand of the country. And lots of effort has been put on that.
Okay. Your Excellency, we thank you so much. It's our pleasure being part of this program this week. We really wanted to have much more time so that we can talk more about certain issues around you. But I think next time is going to be another time for us. When we get your time, we'll come back again and then talk more about some issues.
Great. Thank you very much for coming.
It's our pleasure, sir. Thank you. A very big thank you also to you out there. You've been part of this package this week. It's a pleasure because you've come alone, and we hope and pray that you will do the same when next we come your way with another personality. That has been reflections for you from NTA. My name is Yusuf Adamu Usman. Please stay safe. Take responsibility. Bye-bye.